Who pays the bills? Who provides the profits? These nice little profits. We all pay them in taxation. We paid the bankers their profits. It is simple manipulation. The bankers control the security marks. It was easy for them to depress the price of these bonds. Then all of us, the people, got frightened and sold them for a much cheaper rate. And then the bankers bought them. Then these same bankers stimulated a boom and government bonds went to par and above. The bankers collect the profit, but the soldier pays the biggest part of the bill. If you don't believe this, visit the American cemeteries on the battlefields abroad, or visit any of the veterans' hospitals in the United States. On a tour of the country, in the midst of which I am at the time of this writing, I have visited 18 government hospitals for veterans. In them are a total of about 50,000 destroyed men who were the pick of the nation 18 years ago. The very able chief surgeon at the government hospital, which was in Milwaukee, where there are 3,800 of the living dead, told me that mortality among veterans is 3 times as great as among those who stay home. Boys with a normal viewpoint were taken out of the fields and offices and factories and classrooms and put into the ranks. There they were remolded, they were made over, they were made to, quote unquote, about face, to regard murder as the order of the day. They were put shoulder to shoulder, and through mass psychology, they were entirely changed. We used them for a couple of years and trained them to think nothing at all of killing or being killed. Then suddenly we discharged them and told them to make another quote unquote about face. This time they had to do their own readjustment without mass psychology, aid, or advice, and nationwide propaganda. We didn't need them anymore. So we scattered them about without any 3-minute or Liberty Loan speeches or parades. Many, too many of these fine young boys are eventually destroyed mentally because they could not make the final quote-unquote about face alone. These boys don't even look like human beings. Oh, the looks on their faces. Physically, they are in good shape. Mentally, they are gone. There are thousands and thousands of these cases, and more are coming in all the time. The tremendous excitement of the war, the sudden cutting off of that excitement, the young boys couldn't stand it. That's a part of the bill. So much for the dead. They have paid their part of the war profits. So much for the mentally and physically wounded. They are paying now their share of the war profits. But others paid too. They paid with heartbreaks when they tore themselves away from their firesides and their families to don the uniform of Uncle Sam, on which a profit had been made. They paid another part in the training camps where they were regimented and drilled, while others took their jobs and their places in their lives of their communities. They paid for it in the trenches where they shot and were shot, where they were hungry for days at a time, where they slept in the mud and the cold and in the rain, with the moans and shrieks of the dying for a horrible lullaby. But don't forget, the soldier paid part of the dollars and cents bill too. Okay, up to and including the Spanish-American War and during the Civil War, we had a prize system. Soldiers and sailors fought for money between bonuses and prize money. until Napoleon came along. Napoleon once said, quote, "All men are enamored of decorations. They positively hunger for them," close quote. So by developing the Napoleonic system, the medal business, the government learned it could get soldiers for less money because the boys liked to be decorated. In the World War, we used propaganda to make the boys accept conscription. They were made to feel ashamed if they didn't join the army. So vicious was this war propaganda that even God was brought into it. With few exceptions, our clergymen joined in the clamor to kill, kill, kill. That was part of the general propaganda built up to make people war conscious and murder conscious. Beautiful ideas were painted for our boys who were sent out to die. This was the, quote, "war to end all wars," close quote. This was the, quote, "war to make the world safe for democracy," close quote. No one mentioned to them as they marched away that they were going and their dying would mean huge war profits. No one told these American soldiers that they might be shot down by bullets made by their own brothers. No one told them that the ships on which they were going to cross might be torpedoed by submarines built with United States patents. They were just told it was to be a quote-unquote glorious adventure. Thus, having stuffed patriotism down their throats, it was decided to make them help pay for the war too. So we gave them this large salary of $30 a month. All they had to do for this sum was to leave their dear ones behind, give up their jobs, lie in swampy trenches, eat canned willy when they could get it, and kill, and be killed. But wait, half of that wage was promptly taken from him to support his dependents, so that they would not become a charge upon his community. Then we made him pay what amount to accident insurance. By the time all that was said and done, you would have less than $9 a month. Yes, the soldier pays the greatest part of the bill. His family pays too. They pay it in the same heartbreak that he does. As he suffers, they suffer. At nights, as he lay in the trenches and watched shrapnel burst around him, they lay at home in their beds and tossed sleeplessly. His father, his mother, his wife, his sisters, his brothers, his sons, and his daughters. When he returned home minus an eye or minus a leg, or with his mind broken, they suffered too, as much as, and even sometimes more than he. Yes, and they too contributed their dollars to the profits of the munitions makers and bankers and shipbuilders and the manufacturers and the speculators. They too bought Liberty bonds and contributed to the profit of the bankers after the armistice in the hocus pocus of manipulated Liberty bond prices. And even now, the families of the wounded men and of the mentally broken and those who never were able to readjust themselves are still suffering and still paying.